On electric vehicles, all the control units and high voltage control units, high voltage consumers, motors, batteries, DC-DC converters, anything really, air conditioning compressor, that type of stuff, they're all connected together with ground cables, every one of them, and then they're connected to the chassis of the vehicle. Now you're thinking, why would you have high voltage connected to a chassis? Well, it's really simple. If there's an electric incident, so we have an insulation issue where the DC high voltage is then leaking to ground, to the casing which is bolted to the chassis, you might think it's dead level, but in fact it's not, because if it leaks through to the chassis, assuming you have the cables in place, then it will go through the car and not through the human body. That's the crucial thing. There's a lot less resistance in the car. A human body, hand to hand, is 1,000 rough ohms. Across the chest is only 100. This is more deadly if you're going across the chest. But a vehicle, you're talking way less than that. One day I will show you why we have to do bonding tests, equipotential bonding tests, why you should never coat them with grease, paint or anything, because you cannot change the resistance value. These things are there to save your life. If the cables are not there and you have a live component suddenly go into the casing because the insulation's broke down, then you could get a shock potentially if you touch that and then you touch another part and you make a circuit. So what we've got here is a couple of Fluke meters, the newest one to the edition, very expensive. This is one that does 1,000 volt insulation testing, but it also does isolation testing as well, and I'm going to show you why you need this to do a real isolation test on an electric vehicle, or anything really that's equipotentially bonded. Then we've got two of the more traditional Fluke meters, which you're probably all more aware of. I'm going to actually output the voltage. When you do a resistance measurement, it'll create a voltage output. Then whatever comes back from that, the voltage drop of that amount of voltage, it calculates due to the computerized circuitry inside this Fluke meter what the resistance value is, but it uses voltage to do that. And I'll give you a tip. The other ones use a millivoltage, so that's one of the reasons. But let's look in practice why you need a proper meter to check the resistance on an high voltage vehicle of all the safety circuits. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to go to this. I'm not going to zero it, but in reality you would in that sense. And what we're going to do is we're not doing this insulation test, we're doing isolation, so we're going to the resistance measurement. It's just an ohm meter, isn't it? And then what we're going to do on here is we're going to now read the voltage. The resistance measurement from this is putting out down these two cables. It's going to go into that meter, it's going to come back out the meter, and it's going to give the result. So we're on resistance there. Let's go and put the voltage on. And then we're going to press the test button. And as you can see, it's 6 volts and it's an internal resistance of 22 kiloohms. Now that's very important, 6 volts, because look at what we're going to do when we now swap this and we go to a conventional Fluke meter, which is more or less the same value as this, I would imagine. So we're going to go exactly the same. We're going to go into the red one there. We're going to go to the COM port here. We're going to do a resistance measurement. Now this one you don't need to press test, but straight away you can see this meter is returning a value of 11 mega ohms. This meter essentially is putting out half a volt. So to check the resistance on a set of wires, this is ideal for low voltage stuff. Half a volt, not bad at all. And I can tell you that won't set an airbag off, but don't try it. I have done that in the past and probably I shouldn't have done that. But basically, half a volt is fantastic for wiring. But that half a volt there, remember, voltage is electrical pressure. Not enough pressure to push down that chassis of the vehicle between each equipotential bonding point. That's why you need a proper Fluke meter like this. It's not cheap, it's about 700 or 800 quid, but it's designed to push 6 volts down so that we can get a correct value, because equipotential bonding, it's got to be very close to zero, hasn't it? Because you can't have any resistance. That's why we don't paint equipotential bonding. That's why we don't grease them or anything like that, because grease can seep through, paint can seep through, even if it's bolted. Capillary reaction, suddenly you get an increase in resistance. Now, most cars, like my i3, it won't tell you that. You have to physically look at it. Like in this example here, you can see on this one we've got like rotten cables. Well, there's no warning messages. It was an MOT Katsastus guy said about that. Insulation is totally different. When we do the insulation test, we use 1,000 volts usually, and you've seen them on my other YouTube videos. That's different. You'll get a warning for that. It monitors that, but it can't monitor the equipotential bonding because it's just bonding. And without that, you become part of that circuit. So next time someone says it's not that important, equipotential bonding, take it from me, it's important. And take it from me also, do not use a normal Fluke meter. Buy a proper one. Right, well, the first thing I've noticed, unfortunately, I'm not going to touch it until I get my gloves on, the bonding cable has snapped. It's also extremely dirty. You see that rusty thing there? Unfortunately, the cable there shouldn't be there. It should be where that rusty thing. So that cable's snapped. The first thing we need to do is disconnect the high voltage. Very important, the bonding. So what the bonding does, all the high voltage components that are on the vehicle are connected together to the vehicle chassis. So if there's a short circuit or electrically leaking voltage from the insulation because it's damaged or whatever, it means it's at a potential of vehicle chassis. So if I touch it, it'll go through the vehicle chassis, because my resistance across here is a few hundred ohms. I think my total body's 1,000 ohms. Well, if it's got bonding, it's way less than that. In fact, we have a value of a certain amount of milliohms, what we need to measure for the bonding. I'll have to measure that. I'll do a milliohm test on that when it's repaired. So I'll have to order that cable from BMW, probably quite expensive. So I'm going to have to clean it as well. So the bonding is extremely important. People say it's not, but it's the only thing that stops you being part of a circuit. If you've got a live cable, you touch, or a live component because its insulation's gone, you touch it and you touch something else, you'll be part of the circuit, won't you? So the equipotential bonding is the lifesaver. So everything is bonded to the chassis. So if you touch the chassis, you won't die, basically. Simple as that. Now in this case, with that bonding cable broke, it's a bit more risky, isn't it? Because we've got nothing connecting certain components to the chassis. There's another one there, actually, another bonding cable. It looks okay. So I need to clean this, and I'm going to explain exactly where we're going, what we're going to test. So down there is the equipotential bonding, the other part on that screw there. What I'm going to aim to do, to go just at the side of the screw onto that spade terminal, and then we need to get as close to zero as possible. We don't want a mega ohm value. It might look bad, that, and it does look bad. However, it's extremely tight. There's quite a bit of slack in it. It'll probably come off by the time I get home. If I don't skank the engine too much, it doesn't move the engine mounting so much, because that's obviously what's broke it. And I'll need to check that engine mounting, because actually on these i3s, usually it is the engine mounting as well, what goes. It's a bit rusty, isn't it? Can you see? I don't know if it's broken, but if it is, that will be why the cable has snapped. So yeah, we need to get that measured, and I'll show you how to do it. Unfortunately, it's extremely doubtful you'll actually see anything here. But if I can get the Fluke meter where it needs to be, maybe you'll see the value on the Fluke meter, maybe not. So what we're aiming for, obviously, first of all, we need to zero it. But as you can see, it's a very, very low value. It's 0 ohms, that's what we want. And what we need to do with these insulation testers, unfortunately, every time, is to zero them. Basically, we need to hold them together, and to press the blue button, and we need to zero it like that. And then when we've zeroed it, we can take our measurement. So we want to get right on there. Pity you can't actually see it. I'm kind of feeling, because I can't really see anything as such. That's the main issue I've got here. Of course, get that onto there. And you got perfect zero there, as you can see. I hope you can see that. So I've kind of temporarily fixed the isolation equipotential bonding issue. So I hope you like that video. Quite interesting, isn't it? So the i3, the state of play with that is quite straightforward. We're going to basically fit a new cable to it. I've got another video coming up soon about the i3, because it's actually got a insulation issue which the vehicle detects. If I don't fix that soon, it'll shut it down. So that is probably the high voltage heater, and that's what I was actually doing during that video. But I will make a second video about that so I don't complicate the issue. But I hope you realise how important those cables are, because the cars don't really monitor them, because they're just part of the chassis, but they do monitor insulation problems, basically. I think some brands might actually monitor the equipotential bonding, actually, but I know my i3, for example, it doesn't really know if it's corroded. It doesn't know if it's missing. It doesn't warn you about that. For example, when you change components on any electric vehicle, you should do a bonding test after you've done it. If you've undone a bonding cable and you've put it back, you should do a bonding test, because you need to see a certain amount of milliohms, not ohms. That's why we need a milliohm meter, not an ohm meter, which is what we've got with that Fluke tester. And then the other side of it is when you have an insulation fault where you've got high voltage leak into the outside casing of a component, which then obviously is bolted to the chassis, so it could make the chassis alive. The reason the car monitors that is for safety, and it can monitor that. And then the equipotential bonding cables are there as a backup, so if someone does touch it and they ignore the warning, then they don't get an electric shock, and that's the whole reason why we're doing it. So new cables on order for that. We'll fix that on the i3, but at least bolting it really tight, having a good contact, cleaned it up with emery paper, managed to get a 0 ohm reading, which is pretty goddamn good actually if you think about it. I hope you liked it anyway, and it was some use for you, and maybe look forward to the next one, the high voltage one. That should be even more interesting. See you soon. Don't forget to subscribe.